I'm still medicated.
Where's the commentary? I don't hear it.
That's because we're just loading up, mother.
Are you there, Brad?
I think Brad passed out. Brad. Yep, he's gone.
We can't do this without Brad.
Hello.
Ha.
We're live here, ready to commentate on Dax sitting in base. It looks like they both start out with boots in 3, and Dax.
Did they agree on top? I guess they did because they're both already headed up there.
Yep, they're both headed top.
Both boots in 3. Brad, you might want to fix the mic, otherwise. There we go. But now we can't hear you. You might have fixed the static, but you yourself up. Pantheon starting out with his spear as per usual. Lee Sin also starting with his Q, the resonating strike. Sonic Wave resonating strike. That actually has quite a long cooldown. I never noticed how long it was. And he totally failed that shot and revealed that he was there.
Pantheon gets the first damage. Tons of damage.
Like it's still It's funny because even though Buyo might have gotten the first, strike, because it didn't actually turn into a brawl, Lee Sin is going to be fully regenerated before the fight even starts.
Minions have spawned.
I might have to do the call so that my co-commentator can commentate without static.
That's not going to fix it.
It fixed it last time.
Hello? Static, yes? No?
Static.
Yeah.
Static.
Static is bad. Apparently, Dax is dancing.
Funny. What? What'd you say, Brad?
Dax is dancing.
I am dancing.
There we go. Now my co-commentator's back.
And now they run back and forth, waiting for minions to hurt each other.
Or something like that. Buyo actually letting some CS go there. Not that it really mattered.
Ooh.
Choosing rather to harass.
I think Buyo hit a minion, and
now what will be interesting in this fight is, will Pantheon's passive of the shield screw up Lee Sin that much?
I think it could turn into an advantage early to mid game. I don't think late game it'll have much effect.
Now, what's interesting to note is that I have fought Pantheon solo top as Wukong, and Pantheon is a very hard counter to Wukong, simply because his combo is thoroughly up from Pantheon's passive.
I think we're gonna see pretty early who the initial winner will be just by looking at who uses the first health potion.
That will be interesting.
Well, I'm not saying that'll make a definitive winner, but it'll definitely say who's ahead.
Now, here's something that is interesting to note, because I have played solo top with Dax's build and guidance, to be perfectly honest. And the way that he does Lee Sin provides him with much more lane sustain than Buyo will have, even with lane sustain items.
Agreed. You notice that Dax is level 4, while Buyo is only level 3.
Now, here's something I've noticed.
Oh, wow, a great stun by Buyo, and the turret did nothing.
The turret didn't ever target Buyo specifically. So the dive, or the kick dive dash back would not have caused the turret to target Dax.
Indeed, it was a wise decision by Dax not to hit Buyo right there.
Of course not. Now, what's interesting is that I don't think Dax is going to be taking all that much damage beyond Spear. just because not only does Lee Sin have a kind of tanky build, the way that Dax uses him, it also his shield helps quite a bit
The
with reducing damage.
the sustainability of Lee Sin versus Pantheon here is giving Lee Sin an advantage in creep score. Notice the amount
Yeah.
of money that Lee Sin is up.
Already, just at level 5, excuse me, he has a 400 gold lead just because of his ability to stay in lane and dominate the lane better than Pantheon.
The lack of actually using mana seems to be an advantage here as well. Notice that Pantheon
Yes.
is almost fully used all of his mana.
Yes, Pantheon is almost out of mana, and despite Dax being more injured, still is refusing to use his health potions simply because he knows. Interesting dance of death we have here. He knows that he can outsustain Pantheon just with his abilities.
Buyo's definitely taken the more cautious play style this game. I'm not sure if it's going to turn to his advantage though.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But he is losing a significant amount of farm, being that Dax, 6 minutes in, has 600 more gold.
Indeed. There is something to be said for the aggressive player.
Place.
Yeah.
Something else I'd like to note, just from something I was going to say earlier, I believe that you actually gain levels when your own minions die. Not as much as when an enemy team unit dies.
That
But
I would
I
have to
believe
confirm. It's definitely.
Yes. And the reason I think that is because it seems like the more aggressive play style, the more defensive play style seems to level you faster because not only are your minions dying, but the enemy's minions are dying too. Now, I'm not sure if that's 100% true or not, but that's always seems to be the general rule of thumb from what I have seen.
That'll definitely have to go under experimentation. And Buyo still opts for the harass, while Dax focuses almost entirely on minion.
I think it's simply because Dax knows that his shield is more than enough to handle Pantheon Spear while he has a decent amount of life. Of course, Pantheon Spear does get significantly stronger while his opponent is under 15% health.
Now, endgame, I could see Pantheon being much stronger than Lee Sin, but I think Lee Sin at this rate is going to be at endgame much sooner.
Yeah, already Lee Sin has 1,000 gold lead on Pantheon just 8 minutes in, and considering that they haven't been back yet, by the time, even with a almost complete combo, Pantheon does almost no damage while Lee Sin has his shield up.
Neither of them has used a single health potion, so this is
Well, what's interesting is that Dax can stay in lane for an indefinite amount of time. He never needs to go back for health potions. Or, excuse me,
Oh.
mana.
Turret finally touched him.
Yeah, but his shield held up through it. What's also interesting to note is that there is no jungler. There's really no disadvantage to being pushed up to the turret.
Yeah.
Which leads me to believe that if there were jungle in this game, that things might turn out significantly more different.
Agreed. At this point by the game, you'd bet almost for certain that the jungler would have come in and tried to gank
At
Lee
least-
Sin. At least once. Yeah.
Now, it's funny that Buyo is constantly harassing just Dax in everything that he does. But Dax seems to just kind of shrug it off with his shield and lane sustain. And completely ignores Buyo and just stays completely on.
It is an interesting strategy, though, because what it keeps him from doing is completely going all aggressive.
Now, while he is not poking Buyo, Buyo is gradually starting to move forward just a little bit here, but that might be because Dax wants him more towards the middle of the lane to fight.
He does.
I'm thinking that too as well.
He's just waiting to land his Q.
Buyo seems to know this as he's playing extremely defensively still.
Yeah, even hiding behind all of his minions. Now, what is also interesting is that Dax
Buyo's aim is
can't have
impeccable.
as often as Buyo is going to throw his spear, so he really has to capitalize on that spell vamp and lifesteal that he's going to have while it is up. Otherwise, he will be the first one to start using health potions.
Buyo could definitely enter a javelin throwing competition.
He never seems to miss. Now, the only problem with this is that both players will probably hit 18 before we ever see any real action going down.
I'm guessing 15 something's gonna happen. That's my bet. You know, no real reason for that. I'm just guessing. Oh, Lee Sin heads off to the jungle.
Interesting. Now, did we agree on the jungle being available?
We agreed to solo top.
There was
Okay.
no real agreement as far as that goes. Interesting though, because this does give Buyo the option to push while Lee Sin is away,
Of
which
course.
I think is something that he wants.
Yeah, exactly. He was, of course, you know, Buyo being Buyo, probably already figured this, and thus is why he has returned to his very defensive posture in the back of the minion wave.
Lee Sin kind of pokes in front of the minion wave every once in a while just to push him back. Yeah, I think he's losing valuable experience this way.
To be perfectly honest, both champions are well outfitted at this point in terms of level, but what's interesting is that Pantheon is going to be much more available to harass and attack than Lee Sin is, simply because his abilities are not skill shots; they are definitive. The target that is selected is the target that is hit, while Lee Sin's main form of damage is his skill shot tick.
I don't know, there's a number of skill shots between the two characters, but
Now, what's interesting is that Buyo's ultimate is going to be nearly useless in this fight, simply because he only has one person to use it on, and he can only really use it to cut him off. And there is this quite significant delay in Pantheon's ultimate. While Lee Sin's is a very instantaneous push in whatever direction away from Lee Sin that the enemy champion would be in.
you notice how Lee Sin has gone very defensive with his abilities, leveling up his Safeguard
Buyo.
Iron Will first, while Buyo went offensive with his abilities, which is the complete opposite of their play styles. Because Buyo has gone defensive playstyle, while Dax has gone offensive playstyle.
Well, having played Lee Sin solo top the way that Dax does, the reason why you go defensive first is because Lee Sin's abilities mesh so well that going defensive before going offensive is actually beneficial. While you might get a little more damage using his kick, you actually won't get very much additional damage, simply because most of his damage comes from 8% of the target's missing health, rather than the flat damage that the resonating strike does.
And Dax finally returns. This should be interesting. Buyo's going after blue now.
First thing back, picks up Ninja Tabi, 2 Doran's blades. Anything else? Oh, full out
Wriggles. That should increase his lane sustain and minion killing significantly.
Oh, and a longsword. I wonder what that'll turn. Actually, have not seen what that would build into. Now, here's something that's interesting. Well, I guess maybe not. Dax's tower is significantly more healthy than Buyo's, simply because it was pushed up far longer.
And double Doran's blades, double long swords. Interesting.
I have never, but then again, I don't really play Pantheon, so I would not know a good way to build him.
Oh, warding.
Yes. Now, just as a rule of thumb of playing Lee Sin, you always want to get Wriggle's Lantern for a couple different reasons. Number one is to have the ward while you are solo top, because it allows you to get away with plenty of time from any potential gankers. And on top of that, late game, it comes in handy for a ward place jump combo, which allows you to sometimes close distances to enemies and assassinate them.
Indeed.
Hello there. Hi, Buyo.
Oh, we should be seeing something interesting soon.
Oh, hello.
And Grand Skyfall. Oh, stunned by the turret.
Oh,
His tankiness is definitely remaining to be an advantage in...
now what's interesting is that Buyo is now taking a very offensive posture.
Oh!
It seems that Dax takes first blood between the two. Pantheon practically giving, indeed giving Lee Sin a refresh on his red, but also delivery. She'll give him additional energy regen, which will be useful in using his abilities.
Now, it is interesting to note that there are two advantages to this being a 1 versus 1 rather than a team game. One of them being that the offensive player doesn't need to worry about a jungle coming in and ganking. The second being that as a tank, or a tanky player, he doesn't need to worry about magic at all. So he can focus purely on resisting melee.
Yes. And on top of that, not only is he building Ninja Tabi, which will maybe not severely injure Pantheon's damage output, but it will at least reduce Pantheon's ability to be entirely useful in just flat out attacking Lee Sin.
You'll notice that despite Buyo's actually quite well-timed and placed attacks, you know, stunning Dax by the turret, Lee Sin's tankiness is just taking it.
Well, for multiple reasons. Number one, with his shield up, he actually has quite a bit of life steal. Around 30%, I believe, to be completely accurate.
21.
Is it?
Yeah, they nerfed it.
Well, okay. So 21 with Wriggles puts it at 33, and Two Doran's Blades puts it at 39. Almost 40% lifesteal with his shield up.
This gold advantage is really going to hurt Pantheon.
Oh yes, the gold advantage is quite significant. And on top of that,
The
Dax's
turret.
ult is far more useful than Pantheon's. While Pantheon the map, it's quite obvious where he's going to land, and oftentimes the player can get out of the circle in plenty of time to evade the damage.
What level did I say things would start happening again? 15?
Oh, about 15.
Seems
You were a little off.
little bit earlier than that, but yeah.
And now it will be interesting to see what he goes back and gets next.
He keeps going for a return, but oh dear. He's going.
Oh, I see. He's gonna take a little bit of jungle here.
I think it's interesting that bottom lane has pushed past the turret and is encroaching on the second one.
Now this is going to give Buyo a little bit of an advantage in money, since he is really hurting.
There you go, Buyo. Now you
Doesn't-
can do something.
Doesn't really make up much for.
Ha ha ha. Hilarious.
I love you, Buyo.
We're trying so hard.
Oh. No, if I wanted to live, I could have just jumped to the minion.
You know you can't do that.
So right now we have Blue and Dragon being taken down at the same time, though I think Dragon is going to be a much greater advantage since Lee Sin's going to take Blue anyway. The CS advantage that Lee Sin has
It's
is
just ridiculous.
enormous. Yes.
And the fact that he literally has double the amount of money that Buyo does 22 minutes in is really kind of giving us a pretty big hint as to where this fight is most likely headed. Now, I'm not saying definitively that this is, the way that things are going to turn out, of course, but having such an incredible lead on money is not going to help Buyo at all.
I think at this point, Buyo's best bet is probably to go for late game death and avoid Lee Sin's earlier game death.
Which will be quite difficult to do,
At this point,
considering.
yes.
Yes. Just considering where Lee Sin's items are at in comparison.
Do you think Pantheon's going for Maw of Malmortis later on? You notice he has a null magic mantle. So
If I had to guess, I would say no. Simply because I don't see an advantage in getting that against Lee Sin. Because Lee Sin does not do enough magic damage.
thinking about it, he's probably going to go for Mercury Treads. It makes a lot more sense.
Which doesn't make much sense, though, because Lee Sin does not have very much CC in terms of stun or slow. Now, his triple does work for a few seconds, but I don't think it's significant enough to need Mercury's Treads. Oh, but he got the anyway.
We have a fight here right next to the turret. Oh. And Buyo takes the kill.
Ah, yes, Buyo gets out of there. Interesting.
And Lee Sin just picked up Trinity Force. This is going to be an interesting change out. One of the Doran's blades is gone.
What will be interesting to see is if Pantheon's passive of blocking the first incoming attack will take the effectiveness out of Trinity Force or not.
Purple team's turret has been destroyed.
And middle pushes purely with minions.
Well, as did bot. But it seems that Buyo might need to cover bottom pretty soon here, simply because they are pushing up to his second turret, which could be a little bit dangerous towards end game. And even though they agreed to top, it seems they're more roaming all over the entire map.
I think the agreement for top has to do only with the laning phase.
What
Oh.
the fuck? Where am I going?
Where are you?
Holy
Oh,
shit.
Booyah! Are you going where I think you're
Holy
going? Booyah! Yes! Hi, Booyah!
Wow.
How are you doing?
Oh,
I look forward to this moment.
Might! You finally did it!
I think
what's that?
I have a feeling that Lee Sin
Oh.
might have teleported back, and Pantheon might have jumped all the way from wherever he was to the fountain turret of Lee Sin. But this is just a guess.
I think it might be that amazing. At
That was great.
the very least.
Turn it on now.
Turn Fraps on right now if
Oh,
you have
Fraps has been recording the entire time.
it. Oh!
Oh,
Oh, and now we have a fight.
Oh,
now it will be quite interesting to see this. I feel a little silly knowing that Fraps is on right now.
Saying, where the hell am I going?
It's a little sad that this isn't actually live, because it would make Fraps so much better, in my opinion, instead of us announcing what's going on prior to what is actually
I think.
going on.
Oh, we have a fight beginning, and Buyo's retreating.
Of course
The double
there's a
turret. The double turret is definitely dangerous, even for Lee Sin here.
Well, the only reason it is dangerous is because it's double the damage output that a regular turret has.
Bet you again, huh, Booyah?
Double the damage that a regular turret has.
Like,
That's an astute observation right there.
that was my W.
Funny,
No.
making fun of me.
I heard
I would
something,
never do
and
that.
then I hear you say, where the hell
Oh.
am I going?
This fight is
It's like my top.
carrying closer and closer to the Nexus.
Indeed, and what is most interesting is that
Whack.
at this point,
Whack.
Buyo is at a severe disadvantage because his inhibitor is down, which means the launch itself, even without Dax assisting it.
Well, it also means that the rest of his lanes are going to be weaker because minions get pulled off from enemy minions that are close to the Nexus.
Oh, we have a what the?
Whoa!
frig?
Whoa! Where is he
What?
going? Okay, this is...
Where is he
What?
going? He is quite
What
invisible.
is happening?
What the frig?
What?
Hi!
What? How did that happen?
Invisible all the way to the turret.
That was my W.
That was... What?
That was my stun.
That was not Grand Skyfall?
No,
Well, it was Grand
I-
Sky.
my stun just as Dex teleported, and I followed him all the way.
What?
My,
That...
oh my. This is actually
That's a bug.
A glitch that has happened with Nocturne multiple times from what I've heard. And it's actually, I've never actually seen it, but that is quite hilarious.
I'm... Wow. That was amazing. I'm glad to have seen that. Although I think that does put
I feel bad, Booyah.
Lee
I feel
Sin
bad.
at a slightly unfair advantage.
Uh, slightly. He only had 1,000 damage per like tenth of a second, assisting him in that.
Well, I'm referring more to the overall effect on the game. Now we are starting to reach a later game for both characters.
I would not call that late game for Pantheon.
Later.
I call that more like early mid or late early. Late laning phase.
Well, I only say later because Dax and Buyo are both practically 18.
Beautiful.
Well, they are 18 now.
Well, Dax is 18 at least.
I honestly, watching Buyo just teleport across the map was amazing. I want to see a replay of that. Can we do that later? Maybe I'll edit something in there.
Need to send that one outside.
Yes.
We need to send that to Wyatt. And be like, you should give us money for recording this.
I doubt we'll get anything.
So do I.
Yeah.
But it would be quite interesting.
And Grand Sky Fall! Amazing!
It's funny because Ibuyo might actually not get out of this one. Simply because one of the turrets are down, and
Buyo is unusually aggressive right now. Wow!
well, simply because he knows that it's do or die in this situation, where he either needs to kill Dax or die, and clearly it was the second option.
The late game doesn't seem to be happening at this point. It just looks like, well,
with minions pushing all three lanes, it appears that Buyo will be at quite a distinct disadvantage.
Blue team's inhibitor has been destroyed.
Excuse me.
10 seconds until Buyo respawns.
I apologize for my.
Oh, I could censor that,
Has been destroyed.
but I won't.
Kinda
Oh, and there goes Dax to I would say a fairly fair return on the glitch earlier.
The only problem is during the earlier glitch, Dax was not having his Nexus annihilated.
True. The minions appear to be, well,
Not ready to destroy everything.
if Buyo can pull this off, I will be very impressed right here, because generally, oh no, the minion got it. Generally, when the minions surround the Nexus, that's the inevitable conclusion.
It's game over. Unless, of course, you are Anivia. Thanks for tuning in. There may or may not be more to come later.
Wow. Good game, Buyo! Good game, Dax!
Ah, good commentary.